Imagine this. You're half napping in a hammock slung between the two laziest palm trees on the island. Half-eaten mango sweats beside you. You're wearing a sarong that used to be a curtain, and your only plan for the day is not to have one. Suddenly, a coconut thuds to the ground nearby and rolls out a tiny scroll tied with seaweed. You open it. It reads, "Today's creativity challenge. Fail gloriously. Bonus points if it gets weird."
Hey, that's the island way. Around here, perfection's overrated. Duct tape is a love language. Art happens when rum spills on your journal and you decide, actually that's a jellyfish. Being creative isn't about doing it right. It's about doing it real.
Welcome to The Latitude Adjustment, the podcast where aging isn't a slow fade. It's a bold, freaking encore. Join Rusty and Erica, two rebel-hearted guys with a suitcase full of stories, a camera, a compass, and zero tolerance for boring self-help. They're not here to fix you. They're here to remind you, you were never broken. So whether you're craving clarity, connection, or just a passport stamp for your next chapter, you've docked at the right port. Grab your sun hat, loosen your grip on the grind, and get ready to chart a new course. Mind, body, and soul. This is The Latitude Adjustment.
Welcome back, heroes. This episode of The Latitude Adjustment is dedicated to Kara, Ely, Jess, and Charlene. We want to thank you guys for a beautiful week of creativity in Costa Rica. Thank you for showering us with love, light, and glitter.
We love our super friends.
Cheers, you guys. Today's episode, it's called Be Creative. And listen, we're not just talking about watercolor sunsets or writing haikus in your retirement robe. Creativity is deeper than that. It's a life force, a way of responding to the unknown with a wink and a whittled stick.
We're digging into the kind of creativity that keeps you afloat when life leaks. The kind that shows up with nothing but string and stubbornness and still makes something beautiful.
You got it. And this week's metaphor, straight from the bottom of Lake Hickory. We're calling it the Salty Opossum's last voyage. What do you think?
Oh, yes, the noble possum.
Mm-hmm.
20 feet of fiberglass, attitude, and a trolling motor that doubled as a hairdryer.
Our first sailboat.
Our first nautical bad idea.
Okay. To be fair, Rusty thought he was chasing his inner explorer, right? What he was actually chasing was a tropical storm that had wandered inland with lots of opinions.
In my defense, I was new to sailing and deeply intoxicated by the promise of wind. I saw hurricane-force gusts on the forecast and thought, perfect, let's test the limits of this glorified canoe with a blender strapped to the back.
So for those of you listening, we like to think of that as classic Rusty. All right. So Rusty took her out, and sure enough, the wind picked up, the boat heeled so hard, he totally could have made eye contact with the minnows. He drops the sail, fired up the tiny motor, and said a prayer that mostly involved yelling.
Spoiler alert, the trolling motor offered all the resistance of a parrot feather in a tornado. With rocks closing in, I made the only logical decision. Run the boat aground in the sand on purpose.
The plan worked. Sort of. The possum landed on a sandy bank. Rusty, alive, bruised ego, cracked ribs, but everything else intact. There was one problem. She didn't have a ladder. Getting out of the boat, that's easy. Getting back in the boat, however, picture a soggy catfish trying to do ballet with a pulled groin.
A catfish with a pulled groin.
Yes, love. That's the visual we want the listeners to have.
All right. I am trying to visualize where the catfish groin is exactly. Eventually, I flopped aboard, sailed back to the marina, limped home, and figured that was the end of it. A story, maybe a scar, until the next morning.
The marina called.
Mr. Harrison, your battleship has sunk.
Turns out, running her aground had turned her slow leak into a glorious, watery swan song. The bilge pump gave up in the night, and the Salty Opossum went under.
Yeah.
Right in her slip.
So here's the deal. She lives there now. Part boat, part fish condo. Let's think of it as a permanent underwater installation. A creative act by accident.
Beautiful.
A masterpiece of miscalculated courage.
And you know what? That disaster taught us more about creativity than any art class ever could.
You got that right. All right, heroes. Here's the truth. Real creativity is messy. It's wet. It's occasionally bleeding from the shin. And that's what makes it sacred.
The problem is we get told early on that creativity means talent. You can sing or you can't.
Right.
You're an artist or you aren't. You either win the bake-off or your cupcakes are a crime against frosting.
But creativity, it isn't a talent. It's a way of engaging with the moment. It's a way of saying, even if I can't fix this, I can shape it. I can play with it. I can make something from it.
And sometimes that something is an unladylike boat wreck that becomes a metaphor for everything you thought would go according to plan.
We've watched folks freeze up when asked to be creative. I'm probably one of those folks. They think it has to be original, perfect, check that box for me, or marketable. But creativity doesn't require a gallery wall or a publishing deal. It just requires permission. Let's talk about that.
Permission to fail.
Right.
Permission to get weird. Permission to not know the ending.
Right. In fact, creativity thrives when you don't know the ending. That's where the juice is, the edge, the possum's last breath before she goes under.
Let's talk about the neuroscience for a hot second. When you engage in creative expression, you activate a glorious cocktail of brain regions.
Ooh, delicious.
The prefrontal cortex for planning, the amygdala for emotion, the motor cortex if you're drawing or moving.
It's like giving your brain a full body massage with jazz hands, wouldn't you say?
Studies show that regular creative activity, whether it's doodling in the margins or improvising a chili recipe, improves cognitive function, emotional regulation, and even immune health.
That's right. You can literally paint your way out of funk, write your way out of burnout, quilt your cortisol into something that keeps you warm.
And here's the kicker. It doesn't matter if it's good. It just matters that it's yours.
Out here on Island Time, we've met locals who make maracas from soda bottles, street artists who paint with sand and stories, grandmothers who stitch love into every square of a ragged quilt.
There's a wisdom in that, a kind of reverence for imperfection. Creativity here isn't precious, it's playful.
You don't need a muse in a silk robe. You need a paintbrush, a deadline, and maybe a half-finished bottle of coconut wine.
Or a sailboat that's mostly underwater and a story that refuses to sink with it.
That could be perfection in itself.
Although, as my personal muse, I think you in a silk robe is a fine idea.
Note to self. Go to TJ Maxx and purchase a silk robe.
Note to self, approved.
All right, Rusty. So what have we covered so far?
A failed voyage, a sunken dream, and the strange truth that creativity isn't about avoiding disaster. It's about making meaning from it.
The Salty Opossum, she went down, sure, but she also rose up as a reef, a memory, and now a metaphor. That's creativity, baby.
Coming up in segment 2, we're giving you the tools to start your own messy masterpiece. The creative survival kit for when your inner muse is late, drunk, or still tangled in the hammock net.
And of course, your aging heroes challenge is in there too, because courage is creative, and we're about to prove it.
All right, heroes. Last time we watched the Salty Opossum sink, and somehow she became a floating, or not so much floating, philosophy. We learned that creativity doesn't require success.
No.
It just requires nerve and, a mop.
And now it's time to build your creative survival kit. Because, let's face it, real life doesn't give you perfect conditions for making art. It gives you wind, water, weird moves, and a deadline disguised as a Tuesday. So today, we're unpacking the tools that keep your creative spark from going soggy.
Let's look around in this toolkit here. This isn't about talent. It's about grit, glitter, and glorious flailing.
I think I'm going to call this Super Friends and let them know that I'll be mailing them some glitter. It's about what to do when the paint runs out, when the plan, it falls apart, and the motor's got the horsepower of a sleepy hamster.
Literally true. We sketched out this kit on the back of an airline boarding pass while waiting out a thunderstorm in a tiny Belize airport.
That we did.
Fresh off a failed attempt to film a travel vlog with a borrowed GoPro and a very judgmental iguana.
Spoiler alert, folks. We forgot to hit record. The iguana didn't cry, but judging by the look it gave us, it probably should have.
All right, so here's our creative survival kit essentials. Your creative survival kit includes 5 core tools. Let me rummage around in our toolkit here.
Ooh, see what you can find. I'm kind of excited. I love a toolkit.
Each tool is field tested, storm approved, and mildly ridiculous in the best possible way.
Number 1, a duct tape mindset. That's very Schwarting. This is a big one, you guys. Your mindset is your foundation. Duct tape is the spirit animal of creative living. Flexible, funny, and always up for the weirdest jobs.
You don't need a perfect idea. You need an idea you're willing to stick to, even if it's lopsided or leaking optimism.
Get rid of the myth that says, if I can't do it well, I shouldn't do it at all. Replace that with, if I do it with heart, it counts.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
The duct tape mindset says, good enough gets better over time. That's how the possum got patched, painted, and proudly paraded until her final submersion.
Number 2, a big ol' why not button. It's invisible. It lives in your gut. You smack it when your inner critic says, that's dumb.
Let's practice.
Okay.
Inner voice says, I'm too old to try salsa dancing. Why not?
I've never written a song. Why not?
I've never made a comic strip starring disgruntled pelicans. Why the hell not?
This button breaks the trance of fear, of perfectionism, of waiting for permission. You press it and start. You don't press it, you stay stuck.
Right on. The third tool is the scrap heap. This is your pile of almost, of half-baked ideas, failed projects, stuff you made when you didn't know what you were doing.
You don't toss the scrap heap. You honor it. Compost that mess.
Mm-hmm.
Recycle it. Borrow it. Steal metaphors. Cannibalize characters.
I love this.
Mm-hmm.
Remember when we tried to write a romance story and accidentally invented a sci-fi octopus love triangle?
Parts of that weird little experiment are still in our coaching scripts. The lines that felt too strange then, turns out, they're gold now.
Your failed drafts, abandoned paintings, and off-key sea shanties aren't trash. They're raw material. They're scaffolding. They're possums waiting for their next voyage.
Tool number 4, amuse on standby. That means you've got a go-to inspiration that doesn't flake out when you need her most.
Mine's an old James Baldwin quote scribbled in a field journal. Yours might be a playlist, a piece of driftwood, a voice memo, a story from your childhood.
Or a painting of a chicken in heels. Don't question the muse. Just keep her nearby.
Because when the fog rolls in and your inner critic starts pacing like a grumpy sea captain, that muse can relight your compass.
And finally, make do mojo. This is the crown jewel of creative survival. It's what happens when you stop saying, I can't, and you start saying, watch this.
It's building a photo booth from palm fronds.
Yeah.
Making poetry from grocery receipts.
You got it.
Drawing with an eyeliner in an airport lounge.
Or running your sailboat aground, flopping back aboard with cracked ribs and calling it performance art.
We once met a woman in Belize who made handbags out of old fishing nets.
Of course, I bought one.
Erica loves a handbag. When asked why, she shrugged and said, the fish were done with them.
That's make do mojo. Use what you've got. Create from within. Let limits become launch pads.
Okay, folks, it's time for this week's Aging Heroes Challenge. The 7-day creative spark.
Here's your mission. It's time to go boldly mediocre. That's right. We're throwing the spotlight on effort, not elegance.
Your Aging Heroes Challenge for the week.
For the next 7 days, do one creative act a day. Doesn't matter how small, doesn't matter how weird. Bonus points if it feels a little awkward.
Here are some launch ideas. Make a collage using junk mail. Write a 5-line poem about breakfast. Rearrange a bookshelf by emotion.
Take a photo that makes you laugh. Draw your bad mood as a cartoon character. Record yourself humming and layer it over ocean waves.
Build a miniature raft and give it a name.
Name it something grand, something brave, something like, oh, I don't know, the Salty Opossum 2, Electric Floataloo.
I don't know how to respond to that.
You don't have to, love.
Okay. The goal isn't brilliance. The goal is movement. Creativity thrives on rhythm. Day 1 will be shaky. Day 3 might be genius. Day 6 might be finger painting with mustard. It all counts.
Keep a notebook if you want, or a shoebox of scraps, or just a running list in your phone titled Proof I Still Got It.
And if you skip a day, you didn't fail. You're a wandering creative soul. Just pick it back up and keep on floating.
It's time for a quick segment to recap. So, what did we unpack here?
We built your creative survival kit. 5 tools to keep you afloat when the waters get murky. The duct tape mindset, the why not button, the scrap heap, your muse on standby, and the magical make do mojo.
We reminded you that creativity isn't about perfection. It's about presence, about showing up to the page, the kitchen, the dance floor, or the boat ramp and saying, I'll make something, even if it's ridiculous.
And we handed you your Aging Heroes Challenge. 7 creative acts in 7 days. Go big, go silly, go sincere, but mostly just go.
Coming up in segment 3, we're diving into what it means to live a creative life, not just for fun, but for fuel. Not just as a hobby, but as your personal navigation system when the old map no longer works.
Here's a spoiler. It involves more than glitter glue. But also, never underestimate glitter glue.
That one's for you, super friends.
All right, you creatives, you've assembled your survival kit. pressed the why not button at least once, and possibly glued macaroni to something that didn't ask for it.
You're officially dangerous now. And in the best way possible. Because here's where the tide turns. It's one thing to be creative for fun. It's another to live creatively.
And no, we don't mean you have to start selling seashell sculptures on Etsy or wear nothing but linen and opinions.
Although if that's your thing, we fully support it.
Completely. Living creatively means you start seeing everything. The mess, the mundane, the Monday morning laundry pile. It's all raw material.
It's when your life becomes the canvas. Your choices, your rhythms, your response to chaos, all become your palette.
Dig that. And that, my friends, is how you keep the spark alive long after the glitter has dried.
So let's talk about from output to outlook. There's this sneaky little myth out there that says creativity only lives in the arts, music, painting, dance, but that's like saying water only lives in rivers.
Creativity is how you move, how you solve problems, how you flirt with change. It's your tone when you ask for help.
Rusty, you have permission to go out there and start flirting.
Oh, really?
With change.
With change, of course.
Not like in your pocket. You know who lives creatively?
Who?
That nurse who turns wound dressings into origami. That grandfather who tells bedtime stories in pirate speak. That neighbor who turns her cluttered garden into a wild fairy kingdom.
We once met a guy who ran a lawn care business and wrote poetry on every receipt. It said, "If I'm going to mow your grass, I might as well nourish your soul."
Now that, friends, that's creative living.
Let's bring back our half-sunken, fully legendary friend, the Salty Opossum. You might think she was just a botched adventure, but she was more than that.
She was a mirror, a floating lesson in creative resilience, yeah?
Yeah, because here's the deal. When things go sideways, a creative life doesn't say it's ruined. It says, let's remix.
Rusty could have written that off as a failure. Instead, he told the story, cracked jokes through the ribs, and turned it into a floating metaphor that's now inspiring all of you listeners around the world. Hi, Norway.
And if you're listening from the bottom of Lake Hickory, hello to the old trout living in the old toolbox.
Living creatively means you don't need every voyage to be smooth. You just need it to be yours.
So what does it look like in real time? Let's name it, frame it, make it as tangible as a windswept doodle on a dinner napkin.
Creative living means you say yes before the plan is perfect. You just trust that beauty can happen in the gaps.
It means you look at your marriage, your job, your aging body, and instead of grumbling about what's broken, you ask, what can I make from this?
That's amazing. It means you approach your relationships with curiosity, your obstacles with a sense of play, and your aging with flair, even if that flair includes orthopedic shoes covered in glitter stickers. Don't you say I own 3 of those.
All right. You start setting the dinner table like it's a ritual.
Yeah.
You light a candle for the mood and wear the wild earrings for no reason at all.
You use storytelling as medicine, humor as glue, and color as rebellion.
Love that. You stop waiting for applause and start living like you're the audience.
Yeah, and let's be real. Most of the best art was made by people who had no idea anyone would ever see it.
Quick science detour.
Okay.
When you live creatively, meaningfully, mindfully, and messily, your brain lights up.
That's right. You activate the default mode network. It's that dreamy, wandering part of your brain where insight bubbles up, connections get made, and ideas are born.
Creativity also lowers cortisol, boosts dopamine, and improves immune function. Translation, it makes you happier, smarter, and less likely to throw a shoe at your partner during an argument about Tupperware lids.
Even 10 minutes a day of creative action can start rewiring your brain. You don't need talent. You just need a doorway.
And that doorway, it's usually already open. You just forgot you could walk through it in your pajamas holding a Sharpie.
So we have this rule. If it feels weird, good. Weird is the first cousin of authentic.
Your creativity might look like painting your shed coral pink, or cooking while narrating in an Irish accent, or crafting a 5-part sea opera using spoons.
You don't owe anyone elegance. You owe yourself expression, a release valve, a secret garden, a fire escape made of
glitter
and nerve.
Live like your story matters.
You got it.
Because it does.
Yeah.
Even if the grammar's off, even if the paint drips.
Creativity is rebellion. It's grace. It's an act of sacred mischief in a world obsessed with productivity.
And for aging heroes, it's a portal out of stagnation and into aliveness.
So let's hit the listeners up with a quick recap. We're going to rewind. What'd we do here?
We reframed creativity from a talent into a way of living. We declared that your mess is holy, your weirdness is a superpower, and your story deserves color.
We looked at the salty possum not as a failure, but as a floating metaphor for living on your own terms, even when things get soggy.
We reminded you that creativity isn't a thing you do. It's a way you be. It's curiosity in motion, meaning made visible.
And it's always available right now with what you've got as you are.
Coming up in segment 4, we close this colorful voyage with a toast to your inner artist, your duct-taped plans, and the sacred art of living creatively when the map runs out.
Grab a coconut, maybe a paintbrush, and we'll meet you back on deck.
So here we are, heroes. 1 sunken boat, 7 creative sparks, and an extra roll of duct tape later.
Before we wrap this up, I want to talk about one of the hardest parts of creativity. It's showing up when the tide's out, when nothing's biting, and when your brilliant idea feels like it's already washed out to sea.
Yeah, it's easy showing up when the muse is handing you champagne and feeding you cheese plates.
You got it.
But most days, the muse is late, the snacks are stale, and you've still got to paddle.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Showing up doesn't always look glamorous. Sometimes it's just sitting down for 10 minutes and writing one terrible sentence, or dragging the guitar out of the case even though you only play 2 chords and a bad Bob Dylan impression.
Or starting a painting knowing full well it might end up in the "what was I thinking" pile.
But you still show up because every time you do, you're building muscle memory for creativity. You're telling your brain and your heart, this is what we do. We make things, even when it's messy, even when it's small.
Nice. Let's do a segment 4 recap.
Sure. So what's the heartbeat of this last stretch? Creativity, it isn't just an occasional fling. It's a relationship. You nurture it. You keep the appointments even when it stands you up.
You stop waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect tools, or the perfect inspiration. You work with what's in your hands and in your heart right now.
Because if you wait for the tide to be perfect, you'll miss the whole damn ocean. I think, and speaking of oceans, let's take a moment to honor the tragic loss of the Salty Opossum. What do you say?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So she died as she lived. leaking from at least 3 places and refusing to obey basic physics. Sorry, Russ.
She was a noble vessel.
No.
She had heart
She did.
and charm and at least one working cleat.
She had the nautical grace of a half-inflated pool toy in a wind tunnel. Rusty, you tried to fight a hurricane with a trolling motor the size of a salad spinner, my friend.
Hey. It was a calculated risk, okay?
Yo, watch your math. It was so wrong, creatively wrong, which in this house, at least we celebrate, right?
That's right. I didn't sink a boat. I created an immersive aquatic installation piece.
Insert applause. You installed her all right directly into the leg floor. Bravo, Picasso.
Hey, you're just jealous she had a cooler name than your last art project. What was it again?
Anger management with hot glitter glue. I think it was brilliant.
I rest my case.
Let's float back through the full voyage of this episode, guys. We started with a sun-soaked imagine this moment and ended somewhere between self-expression and a reef made of fiberglass and memory.
In segment 1, we set the scene with the Salty Opossum's infamous last ride. And we talked about how creativity isn't neat or pretty. It's risky, it's raw, and it's ridiculous in all the best ways.
Segment 2 was your creative survival kit. 5 tools to keep your spark alive. The duct tape mindset, the why not button, the scrap heap, your muse on standby, and make do mojo.
And let's not forget the Aging Heroes Challenge. 7 days of creative action, no pressure, just presence, just play.
Then in segment 3, we zoomed out. What does it mean to live creatively? We flipped the script from am I talented to am I awake? From did I get it right to did I show up?
And we reminded you that your weirdness is not a flaw. It's your signature, your aliveness made visible.
So whether your creativity looks like painting murals, baking cakes, or making sock puppets that quote Jung, it's yours. Own it, live it, don't adjust your latitude, sketch it in neon, and sprinkle a little glitter if you want. If this episode hit your heart, if it spoke to you, share it. Text a friend, tag us, and go follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Aging Heroes. You can also find our full tribe at www.agingheroes.com.
Next week, on the latitude adjustment, we sail into slightly more complicated waters.
Ooh, what's it going to be?
Doing relationships right.
Whether you've been married for 40 years or just realized your houseplants are your most stable companions, we're going there.
We'll talk about connection, boundaries, and what to do when your emotional toolkit is just a rusty screwdriver and a bag of Cheetos.
And yes, we've got stories. There will be laughter, a few awkward confessions, as usual.
So join us next time where love meets latitude and everything gets a little more human.
Until then, go create something weird, something tiny, something that's yours.
And remember, if your metaphorical boat sinks, at least make sure it leaves behind a great story.
Good night, Possum. You're glorious.